Welcome back to Royal Chronicles, the channel where history, faith, and power collide to tell the stories that shape our world. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a single story. And if you're a returning Royal Chronicles family member, welcome home. Today's video is one you absolutely cannot afford to scroll past. Imagine a continent of over 1.4 billion people, a continent where the gap between the powerful and the powerless grows wider every single year. Now imagine one man, newly crowned with one of the most powerful titles on earth, planting his feet on African soil and saying, "Enough is enough." What if I told you that the next chapter of the Catholic Church and possibly the next chapter of African political history is being written right now? What if the man holding the pen is a pope the world is only just beginning to understand? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never look at Pope Leo XIV or Africa the same way again. To understand why Pope Leo's message is hitting so differently across Africa, you first have to understand the soil he chose to stand on. Equatorial Guinea, a tiny oil-rich nation on the west coast of Central Africa. On paper, it is one of the wealthiest countries in sub-Saharan Africa by GDP per capita. But here is the brutal contradiction: the majority of its people live in poverty. The oil money flows, but it flows upward, pooling in the hands of a political elite while ordinary citizens struggle for clean water, healthcare, and basic dignity. It is a story Africa knows too well. From the Niger Delta to the Congo Basin, from the Horn of Africa to the Sahel, resource wealth and human suffering exist side by side in a tension that has defined this continent for generations. And it was into this tension that Pope Leo XIV stepped. Before we go further, let's talk about the man himself, because this pope did not arrive without context. Pope Leo XIV came into the papacy carrying a reputation as a theologian deeply committed to social justice. Unlike predecessors who were celebrated primarily for their doctrinal conservatism or diplomatic finesse, Leo arrived with a sharpened focus on what the Church calls its social teaching, the body of doctrine that speaks directly to poverty, inequality, workers' rights, and the moral responsibility of governments toward their people. His choice of the name Leo was itself a thunderclap of symbolism. Pope Leo XIII, who reigned in the late 19th century, is famous for one document above all others, Rerum Novarum, a groundbreaking encyclical that took on industrial capitalism and defended the rights of workers at a time when no world leader dared to. Leo XIII essentially told the powerful, "The Church is watching, and God is not neutral." By taking that name, Leo XIV was sending a signal to every bishop, every cardinal, every government, and every struggling family on this planet: we are going back to that mission. So what exactly happened in Equatorial Guinea, and why does it matter for the wider continent? During his visit, Pope Leo XIV did not simply celebrate Mass and wave from a balcony. He met with civil society leaders. He sat with communities that have been displaced, overlooked, and silenced. He spoke in public with a directness that made political leaders in the room visibly uncomfortable. His message was layered, but the core was unmistakable: the Church will no longer be a quiet guest at the table of the powerful. He challenged governments across Africa to treat natural resources as a common inheritance, not a private cash register for elites. He called out the corruption that funnels wealth offshore while children go without schools. He spoke about the dignity of African workers, the rights of women, and the urgent need for political systems that serve people rather than exploit them. But here is what made this different from any other papal speech on poverty: he did not just speak about Africa. He spoke with Africa. He acknowledged the Church's own complicated history on the continent. He called for a new relationship, one built on solidarity, not charity. On partnership, not paternalism. That distinction matters more than most people realize. Africa is the fastest growing region of the Catholic Church in the world. More than 280 million Catholics call Africa home, and that number is rising every decade. The future of the global Church is, in many ways, African. And yet, for too long, the voices of African Catholics, their theologians, their bishops, their communities have been filtered, footnoted, and sidelined in the conversations that shape Church doctrine and direction. Pope Leo XIV appears to understand that this imbalance is not just politically inconvenient, it is spiritually dangerous. A Church that does not listen to its most vibrant, most rapidly growing community is a Church that is slowly going deaf. His visit to Equatorial Guinea was not a one-off diplomatic gesture. It is being read by church observers as the opening movement of a much larger symphony, a deliberate reorientation of the church's moral weight toward the global south, and toward the issues that define life and death for billions. So here is the question that lingers long after the papal motorcade leaves and the crowds go home: will words become action? History tells us that powerful speeches can change narratives. But narratives only change the world when they are backed by sustained pressure, by communities who refuse to be quiet, and by institutions willing to hold themselves accountable. Pope Leo XIV has sharpened the Church's social message. Whether Africa's governments and the Church itself rise to meet that sharpness, is the story we will be watching unfold in the months and years ahead. And Royal Chronicles will be right here, watching it with you. If this video made you think, made you feel, or made you want to learn more, please like, share, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, we read every single one. What do you think Pope Leo's visit means for Africa's future? Tell us. Until next time, stay curious, stay royal, and never stop asking the questions that matter.